Welcome to Red Eye. Hello, everyone. My name's Tom Shillue. Let's check in with TV's Andy Levy at the Red Eye Tease Deck. Andy?
Thanks, Tom. Coming up on the big show, people on social media couldn't stop comparing the Super Bowl to the election. I don't know about that, but I do know Eli would have won. Plus, President Trump's travel ban is put on hold by a federal judge. The latest on this so-called story straight ahead. And finally, a peek inside the secret world of kids using emoji to send coded messages, including a flower meaning drugs and a frog meaning you're ugly. Stay tuned as our flower-using frog of a host reveals even more. Tom.
Thank you, Andy. Let's welcome our guests. Her middle initial stands for a strikeout, but it should stand for a knockout. Fox News contributor Ebony K. Williams. He has the perfect name for a pitcher. From the podcast Mike and Tim Visit Earth, comedian Mike Cannon. She lost the frizzle, but she's got the same sizzle. Host of Kennedy on the Fox Business Network, Kennedy. And finally, a British cook that serves up something tasty for a change. Sitting right next to me is National Review staff writer Charles Cook. Okay, let's start the show. It hasn't been a great last few months for win probability models. On Sunday night, with the Patriots down by a lot in Super Bowl 51, analysts and their computers were pointing to victory for the Atlanta Falcons. Nate Cohn, a New York Times writer, tweeted, Atlanta now has an 86% chance of winning per ESPN. That's about the same as Clinton's chances heading into the election. The Patriots, whose owner and quarterback are friends with Donald Trump, of course, would come back and stun the world, much like a certain New York billionaire did last November. I'm talking about Trump. For many on Twitter, it all seemed familiar. Nate Silver tweeted, at least the Falcons won the popular vote. I don't know if that's true.
No.
K Street Hipster wrote, Bernie would have beat the Patriots. I tweeted, Liz McDonald made me do this on TV. Okay, that's an old tweet, but she always makes me do that. Anyway, on Sunday night, the big winner was the Pats. The big loser, win probability models. I believe we have a photo of one of them on Monday morning. Take that, win probability models. I think that's why they call it. Isn't there an old saying, Monday morning probability modeling, right?
Yeah, it's sweeping the nation at the moment.
Charles, what do you think of our American football?
I enjoy American rugby. I mean, in England we don't need to wear out full Kevlar body armor to play the game, but it's a good game. I enjoyed it. I watched it yesterday.
You watched it?
I always watch it.
A great comeback, right?
It was a great comeback.
What did you think of people comparing it to... Why can't we get politics out of this? It seemed to be all the tweets during the game. You know,
Well, I think it's the people we follow, to be fair. I don't think most people were doing that.
Oh, really?
I mean, if you look at the people you just cited,
yes,
they're politics people. I have to say, the moment Nate Cohn tweeted that there was a 98% chance that the Falcons were going to win, I knew the Patriots were going to win. It was so obvious at that point.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can compare it. I mean, the Trump forces were out after the game, Kennedy, announcing that this was a big win for Trump. I'm not really sure why, but I think that they saw the parallel with the come from behind, right?
Well, I mean, I said on my show tonight that it's combined sorcery. That Donald Trump gave Tom Brady a magic red hat, very similar to the silk hat that Frosty the Snowman received on his birthday, which brought this icy behemoth to life. You know, and in the adult version, he goes around slaughtering children, but in the kind version, he goes around and wins the Super Bowl. The exact same thing happened with Tom Brady and Donald Trump and that magical hat that I think he had crafted in Barbados, if I'm not mistaken. Home of voodoo.
Well, look, they all were wonderful outcomes, I think. You know, the Patriots.
Well, you're from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
You're a masshole. Of course that's a wonderful outcome for you. You're also a Trump guy.
Yeah.
How are you even here today?
I don't know.
You should be so hungover in a puddle of your own blissful sick that you're not even at work.
I know. You know when I celebrated when they won that coin toss on the in the
overtime.
Yeah, in the overtime.
Oh, I thought you meant the George Bush Sr. rollout of the coin.
No. I mean, the Falcons got the first one, but that didn't. I mean, that turned out the whole first half was great for the Falcons. But Brady was on a roll, and he won the coin toss. I knew they were going to win right when they got that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the writing was on the wall, right? And I never even thought about what Charles said before about how rugby players don't strap themselves full of Kevlar and stuff, and you never hear about them taking a shotgun to their chest and saying, "Study my brain."
Yeah.
It's probably because they drink themselves to death beforehand. But
they hit hard, though, in football.
They certainly do, but they may actually, avoid the head since they aren't wearing a helmet, I suppose. But not only were people just constantly tweeting the exact same joke, how it reminded them of the election, but then you had the people on top of that being like, "Hey, can I hear anybody tell a joke about how this win reminded you of the election?" It was like an inception of hackiness.
Yes.
That everybody was just in this weird circle jerk of terrible jokes.
Well, I think it shows you, though, that people don't want to make this about politics. It's there all the time, and so you want to kind of you want to get away from it, but we can't.
Although I did have a lot of fun cutting back and forth between Matt Ryan and Hillary Clinton's concession speeches. they were almost identical.
They were. It's very similar. Ebony,
Yeah.
thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tom. This girl from the NFC. It was a rough night. It was a rough night. Yeah, I gotta say.
Listen, not much has been said about the. I didn't see any video of people. People in Atlanta must be crushed.
Oh goodness. Well, I can tell this joke because it's red eye.
Yeah.
The best meme I saw was like, oh my goodness, the ladies at Magic City tonight. The pockets have dried up. For those who don't know, that's a very renowned strip club. Club.
Magic City.
Yes, and they actually put their pants back on when the Falcons went ahead and won that. It's just true. It was going to be a really ravishing night for the good folks of Atlanta until Brady. Look, here's the thing. If you give Tom Brady 2 minutes, it's a wrap. Tom Brady can do more in 2 minutes than most people can do. I mean, my goodness, it's 6. So look, as much I did not want to see them win, he is the greatest quarterback of all time.
Absolutely.
That's just the truth.
Although, you know what? It's like there was, all this talk about, people leaving the game. You can't leave the games, Kennedy. Football turns around. People come from behind all the time. That's why they say.
Mark Wahlberg left.
He did.
He did.
I heard Donald Trump was going to leave too. I heard
he did. He left Mar-a-Lago at 9 o'clock at 8:57.
That's what I heard, and he tweeted that. Yeah, it was not good.
Detail released a report saying, POTUS is.
In fairness.
POTUS out.
No. Okay, look, we want to talk about the game more. While politics hovered over the game, Lady Gaga's halftime show was pure entertainment, and that angered many of her anti-Trump fans who had hoped she would take a stand against the president and his policies. To the tweets, Alfred. No Mo Trump wrote, "Fierce performance, very upset to not see any dissent from an activist with such a large platform." John Allen said, "Given an opportunity, Lady Gaga dropped the ball, tacitly supporting fascism by doing nada." And Daddy tweeted, "Lady Gaga, can you scream F Trump or something, please?" I don't know. I don't know why that liberals thought that she should denounce Trump. If you look at the lyrics of her song, she's clearly a Trump supporter. You see? This is clearly about making America great again.
Black power.
He's on the edge of glory. Kennedy, again, with Lady Gaga, it was a great performance. She did what she was supposed to do, and everyone's upset. I don't understand.
Okay, here's the difference. Lady Gaga is actually really smart. She knows how to make money. She knows how to entertain people. And more than anyone in this relevant pop cultural sphere, she understands escapism. And that's a very, very important commodity for someone like her. When you think of Meryl Streep's acceptance speech at the Cecil B. DeMille Awards, what do you think of? You think of Donald Trump. You don't think of Meryl Streep. And you don't think of this incredible body of work. When you think about Lady Gaga's halftime Super Bowl performance, you think about an incredible performer who absolutely slayed it, going through a costume change, a number of songs on a harness. She did a really great job, and we're talking about her performance. If she had said something like that, today we would be talking about Donald Trump and not her. And for that, she's the much smarter person in this equation.
I'll say this, too. It really depends on how much you paid attention, because those that really did, she was very subtle and nuanced, but there were some political statements that she made.
Wait, tell me, what were they?
First of all, the beginning. She actually started with America the Beautiful, and then she segued into This Land Is Our Land, which is something that women's suffrage movements actually chanted at their speeches. Also,
so she is pro-Trump, just like I suspected.
She also said, that, Born This Way, which is a very inclusive, pro-LGBT, pro-interracial thing. So there were some moments there. It wasn't, to Kennedy's point, she really respected the moment. She wasn't so overt, so ridiculous. It was subtle and it was nuanced, and I thought it was effective.
Mike, born this way? Trump was born that way?
He sure was, yeah.
So, come on.
I mean, I think her political statement was smuggling that many gay people into the infield of the Super Bowl and getting them out safely. I think that was quite powerful.
Now, the only other person who was as effective would be Freddie Mercury, as We Are the Champions is sung every time.
Yeah.
Any sport.
Listen, I mean, I was in grammar school. We used to play kickball, and we'd sing "We Are the Champions" when we were running around the bases. It was such a such a macho guy song, right?
You know what I don't understand is why people think Trump is anti-gay. I've been a critic of Trump, but he's the least anti-gay president the United States has ever had.
I don't think people think Donald J. Trump is anti-gay as much as they're concerned with the administration. It's Pence. Yeah. That's the concern.
Well, possibly, but the tweet that we were showing, the second tweet up, said that he was going to come after the LGBT.
Well, guilty by association.
But why? I mean, he's the first president in American history to be in favor of gay marriage from the outset.
I think he also, with this the controversial, what they call the bathroom bill, right? Didn't he come out and just say, "Who cares"?
He did.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
again, it's only his association with Pence. That's all that is, just to be blatant. No, I don't think Donald J. Trump gives one hoot at all about it.
And is there any policy, is there anything that the Trump administration, with Pence included, that they, any kind of rolling back of anything?
No, and in fact, they decided recently that they were going to reaffirm President Obama's federal protection of gays for employment.
Right.
So the only thing they've done on this front is that. I just think that the bizarre thing about this as well is that the Super Bowl is this incredible spectacle, almost this Roman bread and circuses spectacle. I mean, Lady Gaga is standing there singing Born This Way. She is not, let's say, somebody who would be welcomed in Iran. And yet the next day we still hear all of this stuff about this country being this sort of Christian right, Nazi Germany avatar. That's not what happens in totalitarian societies. And the fact that she didn't go after Trump is besides the point. The fact that she was standing on the stage singing Born This Way demonstrates we're free. We should be pleased about it.
Fantastic! I love it. Charles Cook, amazing. And she's, I think, as big as she is, she's still underrated. She's that good. She is so talented. Okay, during the halftime show, Lady Gaga shamefully didn't mention Trump's travel ban once. The president's controversial executive order is still pretty controversial. Here's the latest. On Friday, a federal judge temporarily blocked 2 of the order's major provisions. And Sunday, a bunch of tech companies, including Apple, Google, and Uber, heard of them, filed briefs saying the travel ban would be harmful to their businesses. Trump reacted calmly to the judge's decision, tweeting, "The opinion of this so-called judge, which essentially takes law enforcement away from our country, is ridiculous and will be overturned." And later, "Just cannot believe a judge would put our country in such peril. If something happens, blame him. And court system. People pouring in, bad." While one law professor says that while we're waiting for the courts to sort everything out, we should put GPS ankle bracelets on visitors or refugees from the 7 targeted countries. George Washington University's John Banzoff says this would permit one agent to track hundreds of suspects in real time and provide computer-generated alerts if he goes anywhere suspicious, for example, near a nuclear power plant. Interesting. Kennedy, what do you think of this? I think I'm going to guess you're against this GPS idea.
Yes, I am against this GPS idea because I also think pretty much everything that is proposed in this realm gives us a false sense of security. And you know who absolutely loves this idea? People coming in from places like Belgium and people who are already here, who are either born here or who are naturalized citizens who want to commit acts of terror, who've either gone to the Middle East and come back or self-radicalized online. Those are the people yes, track all those other people. That way, I don't have a GPS device and I'm free to move about the country. And by the way, if you have someone coming into this country who is so suspicious they need a GPS device, don't let them into the country. How about that?
Yeah, I know, that makes sense. What are you doing? If there's something about them that makes you think they're supposed to wear an ankle bracelet, I think you should send them back, Charles.
I agree. I'm kind of hawkish on this. I don't like the order because I think it's blunt. I think it's oddly selective.
What are the things in it that you don't like?
Well, I just think it's far too blunt for a start. I think they started off by saying they were going to apply it to people who'd already been given green cards, to people who'd already had their visas protest. They were focusing on entry. As somebody who has a green card, I mean, I spent 4 or 5 months being checked by the FBI. I don't mind that, but that happened. So after that point, are we really going to focus on me, or are we going to focus on the person who hasn't been granted a visa? And I agree with Kennedy. What we should be doing is saying, well, if you're either suspicious during the visa process or you're too suspicious before it, don't let that person in the first place.
Yeah.
But this seems to be far too focused on actually stopping people who've already been given permission or who are eligible for permission. That said, though, there is clearly a problem here, and I don't think that either side is engaging with it very well, because the other side seems to think that anything other than perfectly open borders is equivalent to chopping down the Statue of Liberty and burning it in effigy. Well, that's just not true at all. America has always, even in the days of Ellis Island, America has always been careful about who it let into the country, and for good reason.
That's it. Ebony, we've got to have, the president has to be able to make some decisions about who comes in.
Yes.
But perhaps, what do you think of the order that, as it stands?
Well, the president should make decisions, Tom. They should be smart. They should be constitutional. They should ultimately keep us safer, right? So, absolutely, I don't believe in open borders. I'm someone that believes in vetting. I actually believe in extreme vetting. But here's the thing. It's got to be within scope. It cannot be arbitrary. So to Charles's point, the issue with the order that we currently have, too broad, way too broad.
Is it the 7 countries? Why not? The 7 countries?
Well, yeah, because you're not really being specific around why these 7 countries and not these others that also really can cause problems. And we factually know we've had terrorists derived from. Also, the arbitrariness of it. So to Kennedy and Charles's point, if we've got someone that's got things about them that are so particularly suspicious as that they should not come into our country, guess what? You probably got probable cause to arrest or go further. It's not just about keeping them out. So there's a way to do this, Tom. It's just got to be done right and per our Constitution, and this order doesn't achieve that.
Wow. Mike, I say more spies. What do you think?
I like
spies. Yeah, put spies everywhere.
I think instead of chipping people, we should make it feel like they want a sweepstakes and just give them a free cell phone. Just monitor that way.
Look, no, I mean, when I saw this thing with the band, I thought they're already carrying the cell phones with them.
Yeah.
Most people have a cell phone. Most people know where I go.
Right.
Because I keep on the Find My iPhone thing.
Can I just add a little something to that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. The Hitler comparison is obviously tired and run through at this point.
Of course it is.
However, this is very much, World War II for the digital age. It's very lovely, as opposed to the armbands we're now just
it's the band thing.
Yeah.
Well, people put things around their limbs all the time. Not just
like
I can't.
captain of a sports team.
Yeah, the sports captain happens all the time.
Reticulating pythons and whatnot.
Yeah.
No, but I've always been a big fan of the idea that instead of causing so much collateral damage in the Middle East and either indiscriminately bombing people and killing their relatives, or just going on some of these atrocious campaigns, I've always thought it's best to abstract the known bad guys, the known terrorists from various countries in the world. And, I saw this. It was a sting operation on something like 60 Minutes where they told a bunch of felons that they had won Super Bowl tickets. And so they all showed up to this Coliseum and they all got arrested under this false premise. So if we just do that next year before the Super Bowl and tell all the terrorists, here, meet us in the middle of the desert, and you get Super Bowl tickets, and they'll all show up and we'll be like, we'll fly you private jet, Emirates Airlines, like the whole nine, super first class, and then you just drop a nuclear device right on all of them. Right?
Promise them pre-death 72 virgins in the middle of a desert.
Yes.
You come here,
maybe even 73.
Mike thought he was kidding, but he came up with a great plan. Okay, today is Red Eye's 10th birthday, 10 years.
Woo.
And to mark the occasion, Taz, the resident artist, drew a special picture for us. We all thank Tess for that nice tribute. Look at that. Look at all those people in there.
Is that Betty White?
That was, I think, Greg's mom, and Greg's in there, too. We'll post it online. Everyone can see all the pictures. Tess has been drawing pictures of the show all the way back to the first episode, February 6, 2007. I believe we have a picture of that very first sketch.
Aww.
Yes, that was...
It's really developed as an artist.
Really. Yeah. 10 years was a long time ago. Okay, coming up, who's the most influential muse? Who's the most influential muse in the fashion world? Bernie Sanders, obviously. Now to fashion news. This past election, Bernie Sanders inspired hippies and free-loading potheads. He also inspired fashion. French fashion house Balenciaga used the Vermont senator's signature lack of style as inspiration for their fall collection. And they revealed the new looks at Paris Fashion Week. Take a look. This model is wearing a 100% too small cotton t-shirt over a practical 90s era flannel and what appears to be the disposable coveralls you use for house painting. Here's another sporting a windbreaker that turns your upper body into the letter A. Charles, good take. And last but not least, this is from the signature I wear everything I own because I don't have a home collection. Sanders says he's no fashion icon.
Of my many attributes, being a great dresser is, or a fashion maven is not one of them.
Ebony?
No, he's
What?
right.
He's right?
He's right.
Is this cultural appropriation, if I'm using that correctly?
Look, kudos to Bernie. I hate the design. I actually love Balenciaga. I cannot believe they went there. The worst part about it is the taking of the signature print of Balenciaga and making it into the font of Bernie Sanders' campaign logo.
Yeah.
Completely horrendous. Yeah, Bernie, he's quite a mess from an aesthetic perspective.
What does Balenciaga usually do? Is it high-end?
Yes, it's normally very high-end, very ready to wear, very, esteemed, fine, fabric, fit, all that.
All that.
Bernie's sloppy. He's a hot mess. God bless him.
Well, I don't know what it is then. Kennedy, would you say it's, I mean, we're talking about Balenciaga, which we don't usually on Red Eye.
No,
So,
it's
probably a crafty move.
Whimsical and ironic.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic, and I actually think it's very funny. I would love one of those Balenciaga quilt scarves. I mean, they're these giant wearable blankets.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, because that was really big in the 90s. Taking corporate logos and turning them into something asinine. And I think that's what Balenciaga has done with the Bernie logo.
But isn't it like the
it's a little bit
of
ridiculous.
Bernie, though, right?
That's
like
why
from
it's
a
funny.
political
But that's why it's funny, because you turn something like that on its head, and each of these pieces probably anywhere between $5,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
Although this is like Balenciaga is behind the whole thing, because first of all, Brooklyn has been dressing like old Jewish grandpas for a long time. Like, this is not a new fashion thing.
And
Although
It looks a lot like the Yeezy collection. It looks very Yeezy.
that's what it is. You know what? You make a good point, Mike, is that the Bernie, they should have gone with the Bernie look. Not that this look was, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't Bernie. They should go with the tweeds, the shocking white hair sticking up. What do you think, Charles?
I think that he does actually have a unique style, and I think if he showed up in anything other than that style, then he would suddenly lose his appeal.
Yeah.
I'm being quite serious here. I mean, if he started dressing well, or actually combed his hair, I think the people at the rallies would say, wait a minute, you've sold out, there's something wrong with you.
I agree.
I like the guy in the middle there on the of the model. This is probably the first black person to be associated with Bernie Sanders in his entire political career.
No, other than Dr. King.
Well,
there's that.
That's right.
There's
but
that.
He does have a big problem in that area with attracting.
He's also the only person I know to wear a suit that's too big for him, but also short on the arms.
Yeah.
Like he just looks like he's an ill-fitting pallbearer somewhere.
Yes, his arms kept growing. Okay, coming up, Halftime with TV's Andy Levy, and a brand new episode of the Red Eye Podcast is available now. Subscribe on iTunes and on FoxNewsRadio.com. Hey everybody, welcome back. Time to find out what we got wrong and what we missed from TV's Andy Levy over in the Red Eye News Deck. Hey Andy.
10 years, Tom.
Unbelievable.
10 years of working together.
It's really been quite amazing.
It really doesn't feel like it. Right?
When did I first come on the show, Andy?
What was it, like 6, 7 years ago?
Yeah, so I mean, 4 years without me, Andy. What was it like?
Yeah. Just peaceful. It's been a pleasure, Tom.
It has. It's been great. This, how long? I mean, year and a half?
Yeah, something like
Whatever we've been doing.
Get a
here, it's good.
room.
No, jeez.
Look, 10 years of flying under the radar without crashing is not easy to do. And we've managed it somehow. Super Bowl stuff. Tom, you said it hasn't been a great last few months for win probability models.
Yeah.
But why not?
Well, I mean, I think just the two examples, the election, Hillary Clinton.
Right.
She was favored, I think.
Sure.
And then.
But they're probability models. They're not, definite models.
Although, you know what? I think they overdo them all the time. Obviously, they shouldn't have been putting her at 90%. And they shouldn't have been doing that with the Falcons either.
All right.
They're not plausibility models.
Yeah.
Right.
They should stick to the
Or
octopus.
possibility models.
Yeah. And the housing crisis. That was those win probability people too, wasn't it?
Sure, why not? Kennedy, you talked about magic hats, which is always delightful.
Yes, thank you.
But please join me on this. The game was literally nothing like the election. The Patriots were favored to win, and then the Patriots won.
You know, but at one point, the Falcons were the overwhelming favorites. If you join the game, and you know, it's like you can't push it so far back that, you know, 6 years ago, Tom Brady was laying the foundation for.
But it wasn't.
So it was just. You had the thing that was like the election is you had an overwhelming favorite. They were up by 25 points late in the third quarter.
But the Patriots were the overwhelming favorite.
They should have, by anyone's logic, they should have won. There's no way that the Patriots should have been able to score 31 points. There's no way that Donald Trump should have been able to win Wisconsin, Michigan,
never had a huge
and
lead on election
Pennsylvania.
day that Donald Trump overcame.
Hillary Clinton at 11 o'clock at night. At 11 o'clock at night.
The model is flawed.
At 11 o'clock at night, Hillary Clinton was ahead 190 to 173.
Mike, you pointed out how people were constantly tweeting the same joke, re the game and the election.
Yes.
Could not agree more. It got so tedious last night. Can we put these up? I started replying to some of these tweets. I don't know if you could. I just started saying, is this a reference to the election?
Yeah, I only got into a fight with another comic this morning about it, where he basically recanted everybody's exact feelings on the entire matter.
Yeah, it was so. Twitter sucks.
I'm the only one who's allowed to be clever. Everyone had the same idea. Now it's dumb.
Yeah, pretty much. Ebony, you said as much as you don't like the Patriots, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time.
No, it pains me. Why'd you have to repeat that, Andy? Yes, I said
It's true. It is true.
It is true.
Nobody hates the Patriots or Tom Brady more than I do. But
Yes,
it is true.
it is true. And with such trepidation I say it, but it is true.
Yeah. Kennedy, you said Gaga is really smart and she understands escapism and, you know, stayed away from politics. Yeah, I don't know. I was shocked that the Super Bowl halftime show sponsored by Pepsi was apolitical.
Yeah, but what do you think they did?
Really
I mean,
blew my mind.
if anyone were going to break a verbal contract, it would have been her.
Yeah.
So I think they had to have had some clause in there where she would have to give back $6 million.
I think they had snipers on the roof.
In the kidney.
And they had drones.
Even I'm saying, if they have snipers on the roof and that's how she goes out, it makes her even more of a legend.
That's what's worse. You don't even get paid to perform at the halftime show. It's for exposure.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It absolutely is. Yeah, isn't that insane? So why wouldn't you just?
That just makes me sad because Beyonce and Chris Martin and Paul McCartney, they all need the
that
money.
Charles, you said Trump has been pro-gay marriage from the beginning. I don't believe that's true. According to the Human Rights Campaign, Trump has consistently been an opponent of marriage equality.
Has he?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I stand corrected.
Okay. Can we all agree the best part of the Super Bowl was the Fate of the Furious trailer?
The
The 8th installment.
I just don't want them to ruin the book.
You must read the book.
I know.
J.K. Rowling hasn't even finished it yet.
No, it's beautiful. It's not J.K. Rowling, you ignoramus. It's a lost evil
James.
in war classic.
I believe it was Henry James.
God. I just don't know why I even come on with you.
It's based on,
Elementary
guys,
mistakes.
it's based on Turn of the Screw. I don't know how you don't know this is beyond me. The travel ban stuff. Kennedy, you said you're against the idea of putting GPS trackers on people coming here from the 7 countries because the people who love that idea are the people from Belgium who want to come here to commit acts of terror, or the people who are already here who have become self-radicalized.
Oh, God, I'm so glad you repeated that.
Yes.
Yes, and yes.
So
Thank you, Andy.
what you're saying is
Thank you.
we should all
Thank
have to
you
wear
very much.
GPS tracking devices.
No.
Well, we should.
That's what I took from that. I assume that's
Yeah,
what you meant,
no,
right?
it's ridiculous. It's too expensive. Who is going to craft, maintain, and apply all of those GPS tracking devices to 365 million people?
Apple.
Even Tim Cook with his shaky arthritic hands isn't able to do it.
Charles, I am mostly with you on this stuff and the stuff you said. I am curious, though, do you agree with the ban on the Syrian refugees?
I think that it is fine to temporarily impose restrictions on refugees, but no, I'm not sure it's worthwhile.
Okay. Ebony, do you think the courts are going to ultimately strike down the executive order?
Parts, yeah, absolutely. No way that whole thing gets through. I think it's going to be, by the time it comes out, there might still be some type of, quote, restriction, travel restriction or vetting. But look, it's going to be way more narrow, it's going to be way more specific, and certainly not so arbitrary.
Okay, I disagree. I think it's going to mostly get through.
See you in court, Andy.
Okay. Fashion inspired by Bernie Sanders. Tom, you asked if this is cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
No, this is proof that capitalism is the most genius system ever devised by mankind.
That's great.
They took a guy with absolutely no fashion sense, and they're selling.
Oh, he looks nice, Andy. Stop.
Come on.
No, not
Come on.
tonight. He
Come
looks
on.
nice tonight.
Come on.
I thought the panel agreed that he did have style, Andy. I was just surprised they didn't use more of his style in the clothes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, along those lines, Charles, I do agree that Bernie has a signature look, and if he changed it, he would be accused of selling out. Would you say it's intentional, or is it just the way he dresses?
Oh, no, I think it's the way that he dresses. I just also think that it's worked very well for him.
No, absolutely. I was just wondering if you thought it was partially.
The great thing about him is he didn't think to dress like that in the first place, and he would never think to change it because he didn't think to dress like that in the first place. So he's sort of set for life.
Do you think he smells like he looks?
I can possibly comment.
Yeah. But you're saying he would have won.
I think you could. I think you know.
Look,
And it's weird. It's weird that you know,
That
Charles.
weekend at Bernie's was
I'm done.
private.
Thank you, Andy. Coming up, what secret message are kids sending with this emoji? I believe it's be sure to watch Red Eye. More codes on the way, but first, Kennedy. A local Fox station in Seattle has blown the lid off the secret language of emojis that kids use. Take a look.
To young people, emojis can mean different things, and cyber experts say kids are starting to use some as a secret code that we as parents can't necessarily figure out. Often it's a combination of emojis, like a face with a zipper along with, should be parents next to that zipper. That would mean don't tell your parents about something. Now, another one is a fox. You think that's a simple enough thing, a fox, right? But that can be a message to someone that you want to sneak out of the house. A skull, arrow, and a flame, that can be saying to someone, I hope you die in a fire.
The internet thought the segment was hilarious, but I found it very helpful. Here's more.
Just to give you a couple more examples, we're bringing Casey in to give her a little quiz here because some of these are so simple.
Yeah. Flower.
A flower. You think that's just a flower,
It means
right?
you want to bring your mother flowers.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
It can also mean drugs.
Oh, man.
Wow.
It's amazing. Here's one more.
Let's show another one here. I think we have a frog,
Hey.
a cute little frog.
Maybe it means hop on over. Huh?
No, it can mean, I think you're ugly.
Wow. I think he made that one up. I think he's trying to tell her something. Kennedy, I like to type, I hope you die in a fire. I just like the way it looks in print, don't you?
I mean, that's what I love about you. You're such a traditionalist. And so I was looking at that before he explained what it was.
Yeah.
And then when he said, like, it was so deeply coded, I realized that these young people and their hieroglyphics, they really have a language of their own because that was not explicit at all.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you know.
A skull, an arrow, and a ball of flame. Like, I hope you die in a fire.
Well, you know what? It is
So clever.
They're laughing at them on the internet. We're kind of laughing at them here, let's face it. But Charles, some parents, they don't know. To them, these signals, they are like hieroglyphics.
True. So you know what I love about that was the guy in setting up his comment said, I mean, a fox, that's pretty straightforward. What did he actually mean there? Like, what did he go? Oh, the fox. Yeah. I know in what circumstances you would send that to another person. What was it?
In Seattle, from that guy, fox means something completely.
I think we need to
Talking about a
know.
sexy dog.
I just think we need to know what that.
You know
See,
what?
I thought it was
that
crazy
is.
like a fox, you know?
Yeah, or a fox. Look, warning, there's a fox
Obviously,
Well, I
in the
got some news
neighborhood.
No,
for
you see, that's the kind of stuff I
In
think it's
Seattle,
not.
they've got some kinky broadcasters. Gene Anderson and Kathy Gertzen.
Yeah. I mean,
What
I like
does
the
the
zipper.
fox say?
But yes, the zipper.
That was very-
doesn't necessarily mean parents, Mike.
No.
Zipper just means zip it, right? Like,
It's just hilarious. I mean, they're going to continue to come up with symbols so parents don't understand. But this is how I order drugs, like from delivery service, because I heard somewhere or read half an article that said that the government can't transcribe emojis yet. So I'm just freely sending mushroom emojis, like snowflakes for cocaine. It's great. Well, that is not the emoji for drugs, by the way, that flower. There is a very clear maple leaf that looks very similar to a marijuana leaf. Why would you even why would you use that?
That's
Giving
what I
all
would
the
think, too.
secrets away.
I mean, here's two. to it. Yeah, let's all get on the same page.
Ebony, do you use emojis on your phone?
I do, and I feel guilty about it. Every time I use one, I say, no, you're a serious professional woman. Stop that. Delete. And then I delete
What's the symbol for serious professional woman?
This.
They have them.
The woman in pink that does like this.
They've got emojis for everything, but I generally use the smiley face. Like if someone says something, you know, and I send them a smiley face, which I mean, like, you know,
the thumbs up.
So just to clarify, when you want to convey a smiley face sort of feeling, you send someone a smiley face emoji. Is that what you're getting?
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's pretty simple. I like to stick to the faces. I don't like all this.
I like the hand gestures. I like the thumbs up and the pound.
I do all of those.
My favorite.
Thumbs up, big one.
They have multiracial thumbs up now. Have you noticed
Well,
this? They have a whole
everything.
But they also have yellow ones.
My
like the
Santa
Simpsons.
is as black as night.
Yes, really.
I am an optimist.
Yeah.
That's right.
Coming up, why do all villains have British accents? I'm looking at you, Charles.
Outrageous.
Coming up tomorrow on the next Red Eye, Harrison Greenbaum, Kevin Brennan, Lori Rothman, and Michael Malice. Hannibal Lecter, Hans Gruber, Piers Morgan. What do all great villains, why do they all have British accents? Researchers say there's a reason. People who speak the Queen's English are seen as more educated, but less trustworthy, sincere, and friendly. Here are some of our favorite with a U, British villains.
Apparently, Lewis had murdered a transient and done things for the skin.
Harry Potter, the boy who lived, come to die. One ring to bring them all.
Oh, come on.
Fight.
You don't think he was a villain?
Gandalf's not a villain.
He was the one who brought the ring to Hobbiton in the first place. He started all the trouble, I think. I insisted they put him in there.
Why? You are just sipping haterade out of a martini glass there.
Well, what do you,
my friend?
Why do you think? I mean, you love language, you love accents.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they would be less trustworthy? I was surprised by
Because
this.
sociopaths are always brilliant. And the most brilliant sounding people on earth are British people.
Ah!
But we broke away from them because we wanted to party with our various religions and have a great time. And Britain's like, oh no, we're so Protestant and cold. We're going to stay here. And we're like, you guys are frigid, man. We're going to go over there and have a big party with some cannibals.
Absolutely. Charles, did that make sense to you?
All of that happened, as described.
Yes. That's history.
That's it. If I tell you in my accent that this is correct, does that mean you have to mistrust me and therefore it's not true?
Well, it may. You know, that's one of those paradoxes because I think that they're right. That I think British do make better villains, but I wouldn't say less trustworthy. I mean, I trust that they are going to be evil.
I just think the accent sounds more sinister.
Yes.
It's slightly slower. It's much flatter.
Yes.
And Americans do have this odd conception that English people are very smart, and as Kennedy says, that makes it seem as if the evil person has a well thought out plan,
right?
Rather than just speaking in ad hoc, ad lib sentences like, say, me during this answer.
Well, see, and that's the thing. I actually would conclude the opposite, right? I think that British people sound much smarter and thus are perceived as more credible. So when I hear you, you could tell me 2 + 2 is 7, and I all of a sudden kind of consider it. You know, I really do. Versus if you're from the South, like myself, our accent, we're always presumed to be so dumb and not smart.
But trustworthy, though. Nice.
Deliverance? Is that what it is saying, Kennedy? Okay. Or designing women? Which one?
Don't you
Okay, fair enough.
Mike, they are perceived. I mean, look at what about Boston? That's kind of evil, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, in all those Boston movies, you always have the guys from... Yeah,
But they're like kind of heroic in a way. I don't know. I think it's more of a PC move to make English people the bad guys, like the default bad guys, because you can't... I mean, they're going to be a white male is going to play the part anyway.
There you go.
So you can't have Billy Zane talking an ISIS accent.
Idris Elba.
That's true. That's a great point.
Titanic would be dope if
It's
Billy
like in
Zane
every home invasion commercial, the perpetrator is always white.
Very true.
Always.
Very true. Very special thanks, Ebony K. Williams, Michael Cannon, Kennedy, and Charles Cook. That does it for me, Tom Shillue. If I had a bow tie, I would be going like this with it. Bye.